Hallo Leute, welcome back to my channel Deutschflicks, where you stop typing Was ist der Unterschied zwischen wo, woher, wohin in the Google bar. So today we are diving into the heart of German questions, Wer or W words like was, wie, wann, wo, woher, etc. You've seen them or maybe you've mixed them up. Today we'll fix that and we will go one by one, super clear with examples, and then we will also burst some confusing pairs like was versus wie or wer versus wen versus wem, etc. Sind Sie bereit? Are you ready? Los geht's. Okay, so first up we have was. Now English translation for was is what. And we use was whenever we want to talk about objects, ideas, fact, or action. For example, was ist das? What is that? So you're pointing your finger to an object and you say was ist das? What is that? For actions like was magst du? What are you doing? What do you do? Or if you want to say what do you want to eat? Was willst du essen? Now you must be thinking that you think of any question in English that starts with what and you will use was in German. Now for what, this is not the direct equivalent. Most of the time we use was only, but there are situations wherein we use some other W word for what, which is wie. Now this W word has two meanings. It can mean what, but its exact translation is how. So if you're asking for personal details like name, age, telephone number, email address, or actual address or nationality, then you have to use wie instead of was. For example, wie ist Ihr Name? What is your name? Now here we cannot use was or wie ist Ihre Adresse? What is your address? Or E-Mail-Adresse. Wie ist Ihre Telefonnummer? For age you can say wie alt sind Sie? How old are you? Also for marital status and nationality we use the same structure. So we say wie ist Ihr Familienstand? Or wie ist Ihre Nationalität? So this is how I have remembered the difference between was and wie, that if we are asking for personal details then we use wie, otherwise we use was most of the time. Now coming to wie being how, so we use to describe way or manner. So you think of any English sentence using how that can be framed using wie. Example, wie geht es dir? How are you? Or if you want to say how was the movie, then you have to use wie. Wie ist der Film? How is the movie? Now this question word wie can be combined with a lot of words. Like you can say we feel, it will mean how much. You can combine we with feeler. We feeler will mean how many. We oft, how often. Wie lange, how long. Wie spät, literal translation will be how late. We'll come to wie spät, when do we use it. Let's discuss we feel and we feeler together. So many students get confused here when to use what. And the hack is, for countable things, you use we feeler, and for uncountable things like you cannot count them, we use we feel. Zum Beispiel, for example, now water is something that you cannot count, right? So you say wie viel Wasser trinkst du jeden Tag? How much water do you drink every day? And for countable things like books, we use wie viele. Wie viele Bücher hast du? How many books do you have? Now for asking about the frequency or duration, we use oft and lange respectively. For example, how often do you go to gym? Wie oft gehen Sie ins Fitnessstudio? For duration, we use lange. Zum Beispiel, for example, wie lange dauert der Film? How long does the movie last? So you talk about length of the time or duration with wie lange. Now, if you want to ask time, what is the time right now? Then you combine it with spät and you say, wie spät ist es? Literally, how late is it? Quick recap with we feel. You have to check if it is countable or uncountable. If it is uncountable, then you have to use we feel. For we feeler, it has to be countable. We oft, when you want to talk about frequency. Wie lange, length of time or duration. And with wie spät for asking time. Speaking of time, we have one more W word, which is wann, relating with time. Its exact translation is when. And we use it for a specific point of time. For example, when is your birthday? When do you go back home? Understanding when is super easy. So you think of again English sentence using when, and for that you just need the W word wann. Now we got two more variations using wann. You can use seit wann and von wann bis wann. Seit wann means since when. And von wann bis wann means from when till when. So here von bis means from till or to. So we use seit wann for a starting point of something that is going on in the present. For example, if someone comes you asking, since when have you been learning German? So in that situation, you have to use seit wann. So this activity of learning German started in the past and is still going on. So you have to answer it using this preposition only, seit. So answer will be Ich lerne Deutsch seit einem Monat. It's been 1 month that I have been learning German. Remember one thing, that seit, this is strictly dative preposition, hence it is einem. Now for a period of time, we use von wann bis wann, where von will depict the starting point and bis will depict the ending point. For example, there can be a follow-up question on this. From when till when do you have your German class? Von wann bis wann hast du deinen Deutschunterricht? From when till when do you have your German class? So again, answer will be given using von together with the time and then bis with time. So answer can be von 8 bis halb 10. From 8 till 9:30. Quick summary, seit wann for depicting beginning of something ongoing. And von wann bis wann, period of time. Where von will depict the starting point. And bis will depict the ending point. Let's move forward. Popular confusion, wo versus wohin. Wo means where. Wohin also means where. But let's be precise and say where to. Now, how I have memorized wo versus wohin, if there is movement involved. For example, I am going to the city. There will be movement, right? Now, if I were to formulate a question out of it, where am I going to? Then I will use wohin. Now, this is the first step. Second step will be that I am right now in the city. So there will be no movement. This will be the exact location of mine, static location. Now for such, we use wo if we were to formulate a question. Let's write this example, then you will understand. Wo bist du? Where are you? Now in case of where are you, you will get the exact location of someone. There will be no movement involved. But in case of wohin gehst du, where are you going to, there is movement. Gehen, the verb gehen, it shows movement. This is not the static location. So in that situation, you have to use wohin. I'll write one more example of wohin. For example, you're bringing your car to the workshop. So you basically bring your car from A location to B location, right? And there will be movement involved in it. Because the verb bringen, to bring something, it shows motion. If there is movement involved, which W word do we have to use? Wo or wohin? It will be wohin. So we will say Wohin bringen Sie das Auto? Where are you bringing your car to? But if someone is asking where is your car, so you will get the static location, right? Now for static location, we have to use wo. Question will be, wo ist Ihr Auto? Where is your car? So you just have to check if this is the question, scan for the verb. Now if this particular verb, it shows movement, then you have to use wohin. It's as simple as that. So for wohin, I have written movement, the keyword movement, and for wo, let me write static. So you can remember wo static, wohin movement. There's one more W word which belongs to this family, wo wohin, which is woher. It depicts the origin or starting point of something. Basically, where something is coming from. And its literal meaning where from or from where. One popular question you might be knowing, woher kommst du? Where do you come from? Which asks for your origin. I come from India. Ich komme aus Indien. Or if someone is asking you, where is the train coming from? Woher kommt der Zug? One more popular question. You know something, but how do you know that? From where do you know this fact? So we say, woher weißt du das? How do you know that? Or you can understand this by saying, where is that knowledge coming from? Now let's bust one more confusing pair, which is Wer Wen Wem. Firstly, I'll write their English equivalent. For where, it is who. Wen means whom. Even the word wem means whom. I'm pretty sure this will be sorted for you. So let's discuss where first. So if you want to say who are you, then you use this W word. Wer bist du? Or you're asking who is learning German. Wer lernt Deutsch? So if you're answering where, you will get the subject itself. You're the one learning German, right? You will say, no, ich lerne Deutsch. So the answer of where is ich, or basically subject. That means you have to use where in nominative case. Now you will get the idea about wen and wem. We will use wen if the case will be accusative. And we will use wem if the case will be dative. And for sure, you will not get the subject of the sentence because subject is in nominative case. For that we have where. But here they will be the recipient of the action. Sounds confusing? Let me give you some examples. So obviously you will say, whom are you meeting, right? So the word or the verb treffen, it is being conjugated according to do. Do is the nominative case. Now either accusative or dative has to come in the blank because nominative has played its role. Do is the subject. And treffen is the accusative verb. If it is accusative, we need something accusative, which is wen. So we will fill wen. Wen triffs to, whom are you meeting? If you want to say whom are you calling, so the verb to call, which is anrufen, it is again accusative, and you will say wen rufen Sie an? Whom are you calling? If case system haunts you, you can watch my video on that. What if you want to say whom are you helping? Now the verb to help, which is helfen, it is strictly dative, and we cannot use wen. We have to use wem, and we will say wem hilfst du. Even danken is the dative verb. We can say wem dankst du? Whom are you thanking? So wer means who. If the case has to be nominative, then we will go with wer. Wen and wem, they both mean whom. We have one for accusative case, one for dative. So basically in German we got two words for the same English word whom. Totally dependent on the case. If this is clear to you, let's move forward. So we have warum. Its English translation is why. Very simple, very easy to use. Why do we use it in the first hand? For giving cause or reason of something. If someone is asking you, why are you learning German? You will give the cause or reason to do that, right? Question will be, warum lernst du Deutsch? Why are you learning German? And you will use the connector which we discussed at A1, den, for giving the reason. Denn ich möchte in Deutschland arbeiten. For giving reason, we have to use the connector denn, which means because. Obviously, there are more words for because which we will learn at A2 level, but for now this is enough. There's nothing much to discuss about warum. You think of any question using why in English, you just have to translate it using warum. That's it. And at last, let's discuss Welch. We have created a separate video on this topic. I'll go very short. Welch means which. Now this W word is super interesting. Why? Because it can be Welcher, it can be Welches, it can be Welschen, it can be Welchem, etc. So let's make a table for it quickly. You can quickly learn how to apply the ending. Now in case of nominative masculine, have that definite article table in your mind. Der, das, die, den, das, die, dem, der, den plus n, right? So here we have der, we will take er. Here we have das, we will take instead of as, es, because ending starts with e. Feminine, we have d, so it will be Welche. Plural, again d, it will be Welche. In accusative case, masculine gender change, der to den, Welche to Welschen. For rest, copy paste, es, e. In dative case, der and das, they both change to dem, so it will be Welchem. Feminina, d changes to der, so it will be Welche. Plural, d changes to den plus n, so it will be en plus n. So basically, for which You take any question using which in English and you have to think a lot. Which word will you choose? As of now, we got 12 words, 12 possibilities. And if you don't know the case system, you're gone. Now I'll write some examples. Okay, so here we have the sein, which is strictly nominative verb. Kaffee is masculine. So masculine nominative, we will go with Welch. In second example, though Kaffee being masculine, but we have accusative verb. Kaufen, it is being conjugated according to do. Do is in nominative. You want to play safe, always go for accusative. Now in case of masculine and accusative case, this is the object of the sentence, right? We will go with Welchen. If you don't know what is this going on, probably you do not know the case system. If you know it, then watch a separate video created on Welch. So these are the W words that we discuss at A1. Obviously, there will be more coming in A2 level, P1 and B2 level. But this is the base. And that's a wrap on W words. So if any W word is still haunting you, you can just let me know in the comment section and I'll make it easier for you by giving easy examples. If you liked this video, subscribe to Deutschflicks. Bis zum nächsten Mal. Tschüss!
Like and subscribe.